This morning, I'm so happy to introduce to you Kevin Toney. Kevin's a world-class musician and composer who has learned the formula for creating hit music. He's an award-winning pianist who also has a powerful personal testimony to share, which he'll be giving us this morning. He's also a close friend of Willie Jolly, a favorite here, and of course, Willie will be here next week giving the message. We look forward to hearing from him. And they were good friends all the way back at Howard University. Would you please welcome with me this morning, Kevin Toney. Kevin, hi, how are you?
I'm doing great.
So you're an accomplished musician. We're really looking forward to hearing you play for us in a bit. But you were nominated for a Grammy at one point, and you've had a successful music career, which we'll hear about in a minute. But what was your life like before you found God?
Well, it was about the world of music. It was about practicing, trying to be the best I could, on my own accord, as much as I could practice. It was about hit records. It was about success. Many people know me from my background as being one of the original members of a group called the Blackbirds. We had hit records out, and so I thought that was an image of success, okay? Having #1 records, gold records, sales, traveling around the world, having people hearing yourself on the radio.
Yeah. So your life was all about music. You wanted to thrive, and you wanted to have big records. You wanted to have incredible gigs and this kind of a thing. And that turned your life around in what way?
Well, it turned my life around in that, after a point, I was not pursuing the things spiritually that I needed to pursue. And I was more or less letting music become my idol, as opposed to God being that person who I should seek my success within. Success also was being married 25 years, going on now 33 years. But in my early days, success was having a family, beautiful wife, beautiful children, and being able to provide for those two.
And how did you go then from that place where success was measured in those terms to where you are now? I mean, you wouldn't say that now, right? You would say that you said God is the...
God is my source now. Before I had to learn that, because, see, I went through a metamorphosis. About 8, 9, well, almost 10 years ago, I was facing divorce like this, right? See my fingers are together? I was that close because of my infidelities.
Oh, well, tell us about that. I mean, you said your divorce was, you were this close to divorce because of your infidelities.
Yes, by man's standard and by God's standard, my wife had every reason and right to divorce me.
And she didn't?
And she didn't.
Why not?
Because God had other plans for us, and God had other plans for me. I could have typically done what a lot of men do. You find yourself into trouble. You got into things that you knew you shouldn't have got into, but you let your temptations overcome you.
Yeah, of course. So now you guys have worked this out, and what's your marriage like today?
Well, here's my miracle, okay? And here's my turning point, because people say, well, what did you change? What happened? What turned you around? So here's what turned me around. First of all, we've been married for 33 years. The good news is that God took a broken man like me. He took a broken marriage after 25 years of being married, and he restored it. I'm absolutely sure that it wasn't me by my doings, okay? If it was by my doings, I wouldn't be up here now having this conversation with you. He restored me as a man. He restored our marriage, and so now we have been married for 33 years, and he took me through that step and that process. But let me tell you one other thing, if I can share you, because this is really important. My turning point came when my wife had asked me to, when she confronted me with my infidelity, she asked me to leave the house for a night to think about what I wanted to do. So I check into a nearby hotel, and again, I'm just trying to think like I had been thinking all day, what alibis can I get? I'm still in denial, even though I'm confronted with the truth. So I wake up in the morning, and I'm still not seeking God. I'm not even praying at this point. I'm still trying to figure out who can I call. So 15 minutes before checkout, I call a friend named James. I get James on the phone. I said, James, I'm in trouble. I need your help. Can you help me? And he told me right away. He said, Kevin, if you had reached me yesterday, I couldn't help you. And if you're reaching me now, I can't help you now. Because, see, I've been where you are, and I lost my wife. if you love your wife, which I know I did, then fight for her. Are you near a Bible? Well, of course, I'm in the hotel. God puts you always in the right place.
Yeah, sure.
And of course, this Gideon's Bible,
Yeah.
I pull it out. Right away, my friend James takes me to Proverbs 5, 6, and 7, where it tells everything about adultery. Then he takes me further to Ephesians 5, where it talks about what God requires of man and woman in marriage. He takes me to some scriptures in 1 Corinthians. Then he says this. He says, Kevin, look, I know you're going to need more of this, and you know, perhaps this is going to plant some seeds into you. But also, he gave me a number to a minister. I called this minister, and the minister in turn gave me a number to a counselor. Now, I knew that my issues that I had were something deeper, and they went further than my marriage. I was at a crossroad. Yeah. I wanted to get myself together. So I took another year of counseling to try to figure out what was going on with me and to connect with God.
Kevin, there are people in this church and people watching all over the world that are struggling in their marriages because of infidelity and things like this. There are people whose marriages are barely holding on.
Absolutely.
And they're listening to you saying, well, he worked it out, but I don't think we can work this out. What would you say to those people?
I would say, when you're ready to surrender to God, and when you're ready to let God in your life, when you're ready to listen to his words, when you're ready to trust and have faith in him, that God is, first of all, God doesn't make mistakes, like with my wife. It took me 25 years to figure that God's best was already there, even though I knew it, but I still wanted to try to have greener pastures. There wasn't anything greater.
Yeah.
I saw through my transformation that God was working through my wife. He was working through my counselor. So there's a healing. You know, if you're in trouble, get help. My best analogy is just like this. If your car is broke, what are you going to do? If you're not a mechanic, you're not going to fix it.
You need a mechanic.
You need a mechanic. Go get you a counselor who's biblically based, but also practically based, so that you can get the practical tools and the spiritual tools to clean yourself up and begin to start a fresh new season.
Right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. It's so compelling and interesting. And you're going to be playing for us this morning a song you wrote, God's Love.
Yes. And by the way, let me just say to you, Bobby, that this music is from a CD I have called Heart of Gratitude. And it is my thanks to God for him restoring me as a man, restoring my family. Great. And so I'm so pleased to be here.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
Yes.
And ladies and gentlemen, give him a hand. And we're looking forward to hearing you from this morning.
Yes, thank you.